Today, we are going to be creating space in our art journals for ongoing gratitude. So you'll see on my page here, lots of blank space for creating text into the spaces. So we're going to be talking about some fun watercolor resist techniques, literally just for having fun, for playing on the page and creating space to record our gratitude throughout the week. As we keep saying here, what we focus on tends to grow. So as we're focused on gratitude, I'm sure many of you, as you've been focusing this whole month on gratitude in your journals, are noticing so many more things to be thankful for. And so we're going to intentionally create space this week for more blessings in our lives, for becoming aware of gratitude. And I want to thank you in advance for helping to support this program with your generous love offerings. You can give online on our website at unityartsministry.org, or you can mail a check made out to Unity Arts Ministry to our new mailing address at Unity Village. It's make sure to write attention Unity Arts Ministry on there so it actually gets brought up to the studio space. The address is 1901 Northwest Blue Parkway, Unity Village, Missouri, 64065. And I love getting feedback from you. I love hearing from our participants. Here's one person had to share on the power of art journaling. She said, I thought I was signing up for an art workshop when I joined. I had no idea how beautiful or special or sacred, yes, sacred is a good word for this space was going to be. It's not just about creating art. It's about love, celebration, freedom, and healing too. I want to share a little bit, first of all, about another class that's been happening this past month through Unity Arts Ministry. And it's been a contemplative photography class. And several that are here in our Monday morning or wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in, our Monday art journal program have also been participating in this contemplative photography class. And I think many will share that they've had a similar experience that I have, and that the first week when we got our first assignment, it was to look for color in the world. And it wasn't just, you know, with the intention of taking your camera and going out and like just taking a picture of every color you see, but to use it really as a mindfulness practice, to have your camera. In this case, I was using my cell phone and just, you know, had that handy, nothing fancy, and was then like engaged almost in like a walking meditation in just looking around, observing my surroundings and noticing where color drew my attention. And so it was an intentional practice, you know, again, not just, but like, oh yeah, that red over there is really drawing my attention, then walking into it up close and taking that picture to capture it. Well, the first day that I started the practice, it was gray outside and I was trying to do it in my house in the evening. And I was so frustrated. I was frustrated. Not that there aren't colors in my house. I mean, just take a look behind me, right? Obviously there's color. But in that space, right, I wanted to do it right because I had an assignment. I had something that I was supposed to do. And I wanted to make sure that I was getting it right. And so if nothing was like really calling to me or catching my eye, I was just ignoring that color, you know, and just keep moving. And so that first evening, I found a lot of frustration in the practice. The next day was totally different. I was starting to like really see the colors pop and try the practice again. And as the week went on, it got to this point where I was noticing color everywhere I went. I'd be driving down the road and noticing the color popping on street signs and being like, oh, I wish I had my camera, you know, there's more color catching my eye. There's more color over there. And so it really, for me, was this awareness, like an experiential awareness that what we focus on, what we are setting our intentions for, we will see more of. We will have that experience if we're open to it. And so I was thinking, you know, if I can have this experience with color and then with pattern, with texture, you know, each week was a different focus, and each week it was the same thing. That first like shoot was a little bit trickier, but then by the end of the week, I was seeing it everywhere. And so I was thinking, you know, if I can do this with like the elements of art out in the world and have this mindfulness experience with pattern and color and texture and dots and space, what if I set my intention to become aware of gratitude throughout the week, to notice all of my blessings throughout the week? And so I had this idea, what if we turn it into an official practice and call it contemplative gratitude, right? Looking out at the world for all of the ways that we can become grateful, to deepen our gratitude practice. So this week, I'm going to invite you to sort of take this contemplative approach to our gratitude practice. Instead of what we've been doing this past month is like this dedicated 2-hour time slot for our journals, I'm going to invite you to create space in your journal today, but then to open it up to having space throughout the week where each day spend maybe 10 minutes and just list off, you know, the blessings that are in your life that you noticed that day. Or maybe you just take like a 10-minute block and just look around you. What do I have to be grateful for? What are my blessings in this moment right now? And there's always something, right? If we get stuck, like my first day with the color assignment when I was feeling kind of stuck, start with just what is right before you. Something as simple as the breath. I am grateful for my breath. I am grateful to be in a room, you know, that's keeping me warm. I am grateful for this community. How much we have to be grateful when we just take that moment to really look at it. And I have a feeling that, like me with my photography experience, while that first day it might be, okay, well, let me just write anything down, you know, let me just start the practice, write some things down. By the end of the week, the space, you know, we're going to be creating some little spaces to write in. By the end of the week, your space is probably going to be way too small for the amount of things that are showing up that day. So I invite you into this practice, contemplative gratitude, creating space for each day to notice and observe all the many things that you have to be grateful for and see what happens, right? Turn it into an experiment and see how you feel by the end of the week. The cool thing too, for those of you that are here in the States, we've got Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. I know it's usually a tradition in many families, right? You sit around the table, what are you thankful for? And you each get a chance to share something. How cool would it be to like open up your journal and like share this colorful list that you've created this week of all of these blessings in your life? I want to point out, Barbara's mentioned in the chat room here, if anybody's interested in the photography class, it will be happening again in the spring. So stay tuned for that. So on to our creative practice today. And truly, I want this to be a playful practice. It's really about just opening up, inviting joy, inviting playfulness. I'm literally like, I've rated my son's art collection. I consider them mine too, but I've got his gel pens and Crayolas here. And I've shared with you my favorite watercolor set that came from an elementary art school classroom. So what we're going to be doing is creating watercolor resist. Now, this is something that I remember doing in kindergarten. I've done with kindergarten classes as a teacher as well. And it's a lot of fun. So there's several different techniques. You might be familiar with the crayon technique, which is first drawing with crayons. And if you use a white crayon, it's even more magical because you don't see it on your white page. And then when you put watercolor paint over it, the paint spreads away from where the crayon is, because the idea is oil and water don't mix. So the oil resists the watercolor paint. Well, you can do the same thing with gel pens. But of course, with a gel pen, you're going to get a much thinner line. The other reason why we would use a gel pen is, in this case, I'm inviting you to create space to write throughout the week. If we use crayons on the page, it can be harder to use a traditional pen over that. Something like a Sharpie might still work for you. But with a gel pen design, you can still write with a regular pen over it at the end. So same thing, you doodle, draw whatever you want, and then add your watercolor over it to create that resist technique. Another one is with salt. Have you all done this one? Using salts in watercolor. Now I brought, so that you can see it a little bit better. I know sometimes it's hard to see on the video. So I'm going to bring up a picture that I took of it here. Thank you, Paige. And next one here. If you can see up in that top left-hand corner, I guess, where it says filling this week with gratitude, you see these purples and blues, and then lots of little specks, kind of looks like snowflakes on the page. That was done with salt. So I actually put a layer of blue paint down and let it dry completely, then put a layer of purple paint down and sprinkled salt right into it. And the salt will absorb the watercolor paint, leaving these neat textures. You don't have to do it with the multiple colors like I did. You could just do a single color, add salts, and let it dry. You can see the same thing in that orange box up on the top of that second page there. You can also see examples of the gel pen along the border of the red squiggles. Those little circles and lines were done with gel pen. And in the green, you can see little hearts and squiggles in there, also done with gel pens. I will point out that when I did the gel pens, while the paint was still wet, the effect wasn't as strong, but as it dried, I could see the pen coming through more clearly. A final technique that I want to show you, also in that red area, is a rubbing alcohol resist. Now, this was a lot of fun. If you have it on hand, if you don't have it, of course, you know, if you don't have any of these things, you don't have to do it this way. You can use acrylic paint, use whatever you want to create space. But I used some just like basic rubbing alcohol. And while the paint was still wet, I used a Q-tip to kind of just splash some alcohol into the paint, and it pushed the paint away, creating these sort of bubble shapes on there that were a lot of fun. Really, it was just fun to watch it happen. I really enjoyed that process, just letting it, you know, kind of push and see what would happen. Now, of course, when we're playing with paint, we need time to let things dry. So that's one of the benefits of creating space to write throughout the week. So what I did was I simply wrote on one section my intentions for the week. So filling the week with gratitude, and then just set my intention that I'm going to pay attention to the blessings, and that as I receive those blessings, I'm also going to share them out into the world. So just setting an intention for gratitude. And then I created, if you count them, there are 7 additional spaces so that each day I can go in and write something new. Now, you don't have to do resist on here. You can do things like this green bubble where it's just some paint splatters over it, right? Just have fun with the materials see what shows up for you. The main idea is to create space. Maybe you want to do peekaboo windows that you can open and put things inside of, or make a solid grid or put it all on one page. However you want to play around with the idea. It's just to set intention and set literally a creative space that throughout the week you can just open up your journal and add something each day. So I hope you are ready to have some fun and play around today in your journal and really sink into setting intention for gratitude. So we're going to move now into our time of meditation so we can let these ideas sink in, rest into our being, and prepare to create space to welcome in all the blessings of our lives. So I invite you to take a moment to let your body become comfortable where it is. Perhaps roll your shoulders, adjust your hips in your chair, settle in. And then I invite you to close your outer eyes if that's comfortable, or to choose something in your physical surrounding to concentrate on, using it as a point of contemplation during your meditation. And begin in this space just to become aware of the breath. Not controlling, just noticing, observing the inhale and the exhale. We let the breath drop us into this present moment. This present moment filled with so many blessings. And as we drop into this moment, we allow ourselves to simply become still as we move into a time of silence, resting in the stillness of breath and the peace of this moment. Within this peace, we let our heart become filled with gratitude. Bringing to mind all of the blessings of this moment. The blessings of our lives. The blessings of this community. And as we begin to bring our awareness back to this present moment, back to our active state, we bring this sense of gratitude with us. Breathing in Breathing out, we open our eyes, seeing with the eyes of gratitude all of these blessings before us. Thank you, Spirit, for these gifts. And as we prepare now to move into our art journals, we will take this energy with us, expressing and exploring on the page.